所以同学们如果有什么问题，也可以在这儿打字儿，然后我可以转达给老师。
So basically, I'm using something called Z-spheres in this program, and it's basically kind of like it's a neat way to kind of figure out this kind of like a rough skeleton of whatever. In this case, I'm going to be making a soft tissue creature, and it's a really nice way to kind of figure out. Because it kind of works like the skeleton of a creature, so it's a nice way to figure out how the kind of internal functioning of your concept kind of works.
OK， 老师现在就用的这个软件叫 Z-sphere， 是一个很有用的软件。老师就在展示他想用这个来设计一个动物。
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
And this is definitely something we'll be covering in the course. At the end of the course, when we're doing our soft surface modeling, we'll be showing you how to use this program, how to use this tool.
当然了，老师说以后的话，我们肯定会很详细的讲解怎么使用这个 Z-sphere 来设计这种动物。可以看到老师在给他们装上爪子，真的是很快。
Now at this point, you're even starting to think about and figure out the posing, how these joints kind of work together, how the bones and muscles and fibers interact, and the kind of shapes that you're finding interesting.
对，这个时候老师就主要专注于，它的造型，想想它的这个爪子呀、这些结构呀、肌肉呀、骨头呀，它是怎么样能给这个设计带来一个有趣的、耳目一新的样子。
And the trick with this stuff is basically what I find the best workflow is to work as simple, just like with drawing, kind of work as simply as possible. Not to get into the kind of details right away, but make sure everything kind of works, and you're always kind of building. That way you're always kind of building to the next level, and it never really gets too complicated, too fast.
没错，老师说他比较喜欢的方式呢，就是从简单的开始。你看老师这个模型的布线是很简单的，老师喜欢就跟画画一样，从简开始，从简到繁，然后永远不要就是从一开始太复杂。
As you can see there, I just kind of when I was done with that level of detail, I quickly added more subdivisions, which is basically, multiplying the number of the count of your points. And each time I'm ready for the next level of detail, I just kind of, that's when I go there, not before.
老师就是给大家展示，比如说他有个地方感觉已经不错了，他就可以加一个 subdivision level，就是细化程度，在 ZBrush 里面，然后就一点点添加，一点点添加，逐步成型。Yes.
And the best part about this kind of workflow is, if you start with kind of simple, if you keep working from kind of simple shapes to harder, you're kind of always at the best stage to show something. So, I mean, at any time, if your art director comes into the room and he's just like, okay, what are you working on? At this point, I could even show him this and be like, this is the kind of body shape I was thinking about. What do you think? And it's at a place where you could be like, nah, do I like it? Do I not like it? But there's always something you could talk about.
Right. 所以老师就说，从简到繁的好处就是说，即使他现在这才5-6分钟嘛，他如果做成这样，他就完全就可以给艺术总监看。比如组员走过来说：“嘿，你在做什么？”他会说：“你看我在设计这个，你喜不喜欢呀？或者你喜欢我添加一些什么东西啊？都是很简单的。这就是从简到繁的好处，很容易去更改。” Thanks.
You can see how this tool, it's just the way these tools work. It's like, it's so nice to build up shape. You're basically, especially on like soft surface, you're almost building muscle. Like these are the stridations. Like this is how muscle works, and you're basically you're building it up muscle by muscle, and it's just so fun. And it's just something that you can't really do with Photoshop and kind of 2D methods. It's a really satisfying way to work, especially if you know your anatomy and you can really just kind of get in there and really just like nerd out with what this creature, in this case creature, it could be a tank, it could be anything, but what it could be.
老师现在就在展示，像这种简单的笔刷，真的就是让人愉快的一种做图方式，就是真的是在用笔刷在画它的肌肉。这种在 Photoshop 里面是很难做出来的，然后整个过程你自己会发现它乐趣无穷。然后我们在边做的时候可以边想，我也想这个动物是什么样的呀？是什么属性呀？它可能是一个很坦克的那种动物，或者是全是在过程中你可以边做边想。Yeah, thank you.
It's really just easy to kind of come up, like think of ideas as you're doing it. That's why I really love sketching in ZBrush, because you could really just like almost like sketch in your sketchbook. You could just kind of play with these shapes and kind of let your concept almost find you.
对，老师现在说的就很有趣，就是说你真的就是在玩儿。然后有点像让你的概念找到你的，让你的设计找到你那种感觉，就有意思。我会转达给老师这个问题。
And that kind of sorry, go ahead.
So sorry. We just have a question came in. So the question was, compared to the pure 3D design, with using 3D render, just like put on a concept, put on an image, which one do you prefer and why?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Oh yeah, sure. Compared to pure 3D design, it's like a pure 3D render, pure 3D model done from scratch. Compare this one with using 3D renders that put on an image like a photo bash or something like Photoshop on an image. Which way do you prefer and why? Was that clear?
Yeah, I guess what you're asking is like, do I prefer just to work all in 3D, or do I actually later, do I paint over it in Photoshop? I guess the answer is all of it. You never want to be in a position where you're basically just using one thing.
Yeah.
And it really depends on the time. If I only had 5 minutes to do this before a meeting, maybe I would get this far, and I would render this and then take it into render this really quickly out of Photoshop. Just take this image, put it into Photoshop, and then quickly paint over it to kind of finish it. Really, the what tools you use just depends on how much time you have, and how important the look you're going for is, and the things you want to say. There's things that I can say in Photoshop very easily, where I don't need to go to 3D. But there's some things, or a character like this, that I need to maybe pose in a certain way, or kind of figure out. Let's see now. Even figure out if this limb, if it kind of works, if this was this long, if this creature can even put anything in its mouth, that I can't really figure out so quickly in 2D, which is why I like 3D. So I guess the long answer to that short question is, I do it all. I do whatever gets the job done faster.
Right, thank you. 老师的答案就是说没有绝对的吧，就是真的是基于你要用你比如说你5分钟之后有个会议，老师就会真的是拿这张他现在做这个3D 放到 Keyshot 里面 render 出来，然后就已经是个很好的开始了。那如果你要比如说刚才老师还有个例子是用3D 的好处呢，就是真的是用3D 的好处就是可以看到，比如说老师旋转了一下动物的前爪，看它的前爪能不能够到自己的嘴，这就是一些比较合理性的思考，在 Photoshop 上面是做不出来的。所以说老师的答案就是说，他2个软件都会用，这真的是基于不同的场景，你会用不同的，有的时候只用3D，有的时候要3D 加2D，但基本上都会同时会用。Thanks, Casper.
Yeah, I hope that's what kind of he was asking.
Yeah.
So right now, it's kind of the time is kind of winding down. So I mean, the thing that's going to sell any creature is usually the face. So I'm going to just kind of stop worrying about the rest of the body, because it's at a level where I think if I had to show this to an art director, you kind of understand where I'm going with it. But really what he's going to fall in love with, and what's going to sell any image, is kind of like the kind of emotion you get from seeing what this kind of creature's face looks like. And that's how you can see what's kind of really represent what this creature's about.
Yep. 现在我们老师说，如果一般时间不多的话，他会专注于脸部，动物的脸部，然后拿给艺术总监看，因为真的是一种，因为有的时候可能从这脸部能看出来这个动物的感觉啊什么的，所以老师现在会短暂的专注于脸部。Yeah, 我会把这个问题转达给老师。Sorry, Casper, we have a question just came in.
No problem. No problem.
He asked, so how did you get all the shape very very work together on this 3D model? did that requires lots of painting, or did that requires lots of knowledge about muscle structures, bones, stuff like that? It's like the more you paint, the more you get the knowledge of these muscles, or the more you learn from books, stuff like that.
Oh, definitely books. Like, I mean, as a concept artist, as any artist, but especially as a concept artist, the worst thing you could do is just stop learning. Yeah, you're constantly figuring out, learning about creatures. When it comes to mechanical design, you're always, YouTubing things and learning about how, we usually do things like tanks and, war things. So you're always learning about the newest tanks and, the newest kind of weapons out there and how things work and why they work like that, so that you could design things to look real and work real, like they do in real life. And yeah, just kind of work. You never kind of stop learning, and you never kind of stop learning. Like in these animals, like the fact that this is a four-legged animal, that means that probably, just like all four-legged animals, there is no collarbone like people have. There's what's called in dogs, cats, and most creatures with 4 legs, there's what's called a floating shoulder. And I'm going way off tangent here, but basically what that means is all the connective tissue of this arm is connected to just this scapula. And that's something that you kind of learn by looking at books and looking at podcasts and a lot of nature shows, figuring out how these rib cages work. And yeah,
that was awesome.
Hopefully that answered it.
Yeah, thank you. 老师的答案是，当然了，除了画画，最重要的还是通过书籍啊，通过一些电视节目呀，去了解一些动物的组织。比如说，老师现在举个例子，就是说，因为这是个4脚的动物，所以它有一个特殊的这个组织，是人类没有的。是猫和狗会有这种组织。它这个知识就是他通过平时观察呀和书籍啊，还有一些电视节目来了解到的。所以说，我们得不断的去学习。其实有时候画了很多，但是你也要有空去积累一些知识来了解这些不同的生物方面啊，或者是各种各样的知识，通过书籍和节目。Yeah.
But you can see how easily you kind of manipulate these shapes into kind of like what you want. And again, the best part is, it looks great from here, but what does it look like? I have a view of it in every single. I'm working at it at the same time from every angle, and I know that it's all real. It's not a guess, a 2D guess of like, oh, I think this is what this looks like in perspective. And I find that the people down the line, the kind of character models and the prop modelers, they really appreciate getting a model that works and that they don't have to waste time and frustration trying to fix, because it looks good from this painted pose, but when you try to build it in 3D, these shapes just don't.
Yeah, thanks. 老师现在就说的是，就是他从不同的角度来再完善一下这个模型，然后他再讲了讲，其实，在我们工作中呢，做3D 的做模型的会真的很感谢，我们这些概念师在最早的时候就把这个模型画得很对，这样的话做3D 的话就不会出现很多问题，出现一些错误呀，出现一些组织在画面上看着很好看，但是3D 做不出来。所以说这也是一个很大的好处，就是2D 概念师懂一些这种3D 的这些技巧。Thanks.
Okay, let's see. We're getting. How long has that been? 20 minutes, I think. A little bit more than
roughly,
10 minutes.
Yeah, roughly 15 minutes.
15? All right. Well, I said I'd do it in 10, so I need to kind of figure this out and just put the stop on it. It's hard. It's so fun. You don't ever want to really stop.
Yeah, I know. 老师问了大概花了多长时间，然后老师说因为太有意思都不想停下来。Yeah, sorry.
Always something you could do better and something that you missed. But see, like, okay, so let's say 15 minutes. I had some explaining, I had some questions, but in 15 minutes, I have a concept that's, pretty good shape. I could get multiple views. I can even pose it a little bit.
就是说，老师说只花了15分钟就能一个基本的形均出来了。老师现在就展示，我甚至都可以摆他的摆姿势呀，改变他的这个姿势。
And obviously, I mean, you're always going to take more than 15 minutes. You're never going to this is kind of like a fun test to do for yourself. When you kind of get a little bit more familiar with the program, see what you can do with it. But it's just kind of like a simple way to kind of show people, why it's so powerful and why so many concept artists are kind of waking up to this kind of workflow.
Right. 老师说，当然了，平常你可能会花的比10分钟更长。老师现在只是演示一下为什么，ZBrush 有多么强大，为什么越来越多的2D 概念师开始喜欢上了用 ZBrush 的这种工作方式。That was awesome.
So, and to kind of go back to that other question of like, if I'm learning Maya, should I be learning this as well? I mean, learn both. The more you know, the better. Maya will do things that this program won't do, and this program will do things that Maya won't do. You should learn everything you can. But but you could also see how the strength of this program. You can never do this quick. You can never do something this quickly in Maya because there's just too much planning. The workflow just doesn't let you break the model so easily and still have something you could work with.
老师现在就回到了之前那个问题，说玛雅和 ZBrush 学了玛雅，要不要再学 ZBrush？ 老师的还是说都要学吧，就是尽你所能，学越多软件越好。玛雅有它的强点，有它的强处 ，ZBrush 有它的强处，但是 ZBrush 总的来说还是 ZBrush 真的很强大，因为在玛雅有太多的限制，让你就不破坏模型的这个走线呀、布局呀，你得担心太多事儿，但在 ZBrush 里面真的是很快。
So like 15 minutes, that's a 15-minute sketch that there's there's no reason why you couldn't do something like this or better in but now that I've done this, I can, I could render out an image of just the head. I could render it from this angle. I could show it from this angle. I could show it from that angle. The art director knows exactly what they'll get.
Great. 老师说就真的是短短的15分钟就可以做成这样，然后可以用不同的角度给艺术总监来渲染一张图片，艺术总监看，然后来看看找一些反馈啊什么的，真的就是显示它的很强大、很效率。ZBrush. Sorry, Casper, we have 2 questions here.
Nope.
Yeah, the first one will be for you. Which project or which kind of tasks you worked on before you realized 3D was so important?
Really, when it started to get really important was when I worked on a program, video game called Anthem. Because the game is full of basically mechanical machines, and it was very important for us to figure out how everything works. Like, we didn't want to just fake it and just kind of put a skin on everything and have it deform and kind of bend. We really wanted to figure out the wrists and the joints and how mechanically it kind of fits and works. And with the time frame we had, we just really had to do it in 3D because that was the only way we could actually move, mechanical joints around each other and make sure things fit and make sure that metal doesn't crash into metal. So yeah, it was really on that project, trying to really engineer, kind of going the extra step and not just like concepting something that's cool, but also engineer something that actually works and is functional in real life.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you. 老师回答第一个问题，老师当年参与过那个 Anthem 游戏叫圣歌，大家应该也看过 EA 的它的 trailer， 很酷。老师说在那个项目中，他们发现了，因为有很多很多的机械结构，发现不能就是说只能让看着酷啊，就是用2D 来画一个大概能用就行了。但是真的是这个项目，他们发现，包括你要做动画的时候，它的机械的碰撞呀什么的都会需要很多机械方面的知识。他们在这个时候又用到了 3D， 就像老师刚刚演示的，它可以随便的去旋转呀、移动啊，一个护甲就可以很清楚明白它的这个原理和这个是怎么样运作的。所以当初在这个圣歌这个游戏中，老师发现了 3D 使用 3D 软件，鲤鱼 ZBrush 真的是非常非常有用、非常非常有效率的一个软件。Yeah, that was awesome.
Second question?
Yeah. Second question would be for environmental modeling. Which software is the best?
For my environmental modeling, I still use ZBrush, but basically because it's kind of I like to experiment, and like I said, this program kind of lets you do that. A lot of people work in 3ds Max or Maya for environmental stuff, but for me it's I would say KeyShot is just as good, and that's how I do all my environmental stuff. I could maybe even show you one.
Okay.
A second.
Yeah, sure. I can translate it first. Thank you. 老师说，如果是场景建模的话，老师还是会用 ZBrush，和 KeyShot， 因为老师还感觉 ZBrush 因为太强大了，会给你就让你做任何东西。当然了，这是老师个人的一个。老师现在就给大家看一看他之前用 ZBrush 和 KeyShot 做的一些场景。
So I mean, This is this is like a simple kind of test blockout for an image of like a tank this tank that I designed in ZBrush, and I was kind of trying to figure out in a battle zone. So basically, all these parts are done in ZBrush in this whole kind of little environment. This is just different angles of this environment, seeing which kind of composition I like. It was all done in the ZBrush, and at this level, I didn't really need more than this because I wanted to really paint. Like I just wanted a rough block out for kind of perspective and shapes, but I really wanted to go in there and kind of paint everything, so I don't need everything, one-to-one kind of textured and everything. So it really depends on, again, the more tools you need, the more tools you know. You'll always have, if you know a lot of them, you'll always have the right tool for the right job. For this job, ZBrush was definitely enough. And it's an environment that really answers the question.
Yeah. 老师现在展示的就是他当时只用ZBrush 和 Keyshot 建立的一个场景，基本上就是一个坦克战争的一个场面。他就是基本上，用 Keyshot 渲染出不同的角度呀，然后再基于这个，他会做一些再往上面去接着画一些材质啊，画一些光线什么的。然后他就说，这个答案还是不是绝对的，就是说，你软件当然学的越多越好，但是基于他的话，他个人的话，他感觉用 ZBrush 已经足够了。Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you. He just asked another question.
Sure.
Is ZBrush modeling? Is ZBrush modeling gonna limit the filter animation workflow?
Animation workflow?
I guess he's trying to ask is like, see, I guess so. I see. Well, that's a different question though. He tried to ask like if you want to model in Scratch from ZBrush, is this like you can do whatever you want with data mesh? Is this gonna like add more work on a filter animation workflow? Like you want to skin yourself, I guess, something like that. Yeah.
Well, so that's going into a whole different thing. That's not really
Yeah.
That's not really concept anymore.
Right.
That's really production. You're pushing it further into production. Basically, well, so you would need, to go into detail, you would need a high-res model anyways that most artists create in ZBrush. So like this image that you see here, if I was to animate these, I would do all this detail and kind of surface stuff in ZBrush, but then you basically make a low poly model of that in Maya or 3ds Max that you project the detail onto, and that's like a whole different workflow for animation, just because animation programs can't take a million poly object like ZBrush can, so you have to basically make a low poly and then project stuff from your high poly. It's a whole kind of workflow that it doesn't really fall under concept art.
Right.
I mean, to answer your question, I guess whether you use ZBrush for that, yeah, every character artist that I know that does characters makes their like detail sculpts in ZBrush.
Yeah, I guess that wouldn't impact on any animation works, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. 老师的回答就是说，其实 ZBrush 建模它对后期动画其实没有任何限制，因为我们用 ZBrush 只用建个高模。像他刚才那个图片3个士兵那个，就是他先建好了高模，加了很多的东西，然后你会用低模把它的高模的细节bake 上去，然后再递给动画师，动画师再做 skin。所以说这是一个不再是 RT 概念的方面的问题了，这是一个整个的流程的问题。所以说，但是基本上总体的答案就是基本上是没有限制的，是你用 ZBrush 你想做什么做什么。然后因为用于动画的那个模型永远都是低模，不可能是那个 ZBrush 里面的高模。 没错没错，后续3D 还需要重新建模。对对对，会要建个低模的，会要根据动画的要求会建一个它的布线更 clean 更干净更适合游戏的低模，不会抢走3D 建模师的工作。嗯，没错。只用作概念设计，不是直接用游戏。如果对是概念设计的话，如果艺术总监很喜欢他的概念设计，可能会把他的高模递交给建模师，建模师会基于他的高模做一个底模，然后再包括优化一下他的高模，然后再做一个底模，然后可以放到游戏里面。所以说这是一个不同的一个生产线吧，能这么说。所以说就是基本上就没有限制的，你作为一个2D 概念师，你可以在这边上面想做什么做什么。希望回答了大家的问题。
Any other questions?
No, I just answered by myself, like some tiny questions. There's another question. So, do you feel like in the coming next more years, with the beneficial 3D tools bring to us, is 3D gonna entirely over the 2D concept? The 3D concept workflow is gonna entirely take over the 2D concept workflow? In the future, in the recent future.
It's. I mean, I really want to say no, but I really feel like it will.
Yeah.
I mean, so you could answer this. I believe that you could answer this question yourself. Just ask yourself how many concept artists still do pen and paper concepts, right?
Right.
Everybody uses Photoshop. Nobody's doing it on Canvas. It's not going to be tomorrow, but these programs have such strong tools that you just can't ignore them for very long. You're still going to need amazing, these tools aren't an answer for fundamentals. You still need to know what you're doing. You still need to be a good artist. They just help you. They just help you be a good artist faster.
Right.
That's why there's so many amazing Photoshop artists now. There's so many good painters, and China has so many amazing Photoshop painters because, on Canvas, when you're doing it traditionally, it takes a lot of time to, learn and to finish a painting and see what kind of mistakes you made. But if you're painting in Photoshop, the learning curve is just so quick. The undo button, you make mistakes, you finish it, it just skyrockets the time, the quickness of how quickly you learn. And it's the same with ZBrush. It just skyrockets how quickly you can make amazing images and the quality of the work and what you could really represent. The things that you could concept in this workflow, as opposed to just 2D. Yeah, you should have just stopped me there because I went way on a tangent.
No,
Basically,
no. Yeah.
The beginning of that was really good, and then I just kind of kept talking.
No, that was a good answer. Yeah. 所以老师就说他很希望说不会取代2D，但是说实话可能会取代2D，因为就是对比于 Photoshop 和2D 的传统绘画吧，就 Photoshop 基本上已经在这个行业中吧，已经很少人去概念师很少去拿纸拿笔去画了，所以说不会很近，但是可能未来有远一点的未来，可能真的会取代2D。但是老师又说了很重要的一点呢，就是说，即使不管是软件多么高科技，我们这些原始东西还是最基本的那些美学概念啊，美学这些 学习啊，像咱们小时候学的那种3点透视啊那种的，还是要学的。就像中国，他举了个例子说，中国有超级多的用 Photoshop 画很好看的概念师，超级多，就是因为他们的基础学得很好，很扎实。就是不管软件多么的好用，我们还是不能放弃基础的学习。Yeah. Thanks.
And I mean, even this program is kind of, who knows how long it will be around. There's always going to be something new. In this profession, you're always learning. There's never a point where you're like, okay, I know this, I'm good for the rest of my life. There's programs now where, people are concepting in, with 3D glasses on, I mean, is that the future? Who knows? Maybe that program will have its, Dynamesh time, and that's what we'll be using in the future. It's just, it'll be whatever makes, we'll definitely be using whatever makes our job quicker and easier. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And we'll never stop using Photoshop. Photoshop skills will always be very important because, there is things that are just quicker in that also. Like, why would you, even with this 3D kind of creature, why would I go through if I don't have time, why would I go through the time of, texturing this and painting it in 3D when I could just drop a render into Photoshop and do it in half the time?
Yeah, true. 老师就接着引申那个问题吧，就是说，将来永远会有一些新的软件，永远不要告诉自己，OK，我这个软件用的很好，我这辈子就用这个软件。说，因为现在你看，已经有人开始用那个 VR 眼镜开始建模了，所以说永远不知道将来会有什么样的软件出来。但是 Photoshop 还是很重要的 ，Photoshop 还是必须的软件，因为像老师举例子，就是说，比如说这个动物吧，它不会再花时间去在上面画呀，在3D 软件里面画它的材质啊什么的，它可以直接放到 Photoshop 里面去给它 Photoshop 一个皮肤出来，就真的是省了一半的时间。所以说真的是一起共同使用，没有事情都没有绝对的。Yeah, thank you.
And even if you think this is like totally not your thing and you just want to paint and be a great like 2D artist and you want to be the best painter you could be, I would still suggest learn this program, or at least because I found myself that just by using a 3D program, I've actually become a better 3D artist because having the ability to kind of look at something in 3D space and kind of like understand something in 3D has really kind of triggered my brain to kind of understand things better in 2D.
老师就说的是
kind of like Leonardo da Vinci, like he was a good painter, but that wasn't his thing. He liked sculpting because, I mean, sculpting is kind of how you learn how these shapes interact with each other, and it'll really, I feel like it really helps 2D.
老师就说了说，即使有时候你感觉 ZBrush 不是你想学的软件，但老师还是建议，就是你想当一个专业的画画 Photoshop 画画的，但是他还是建议你学这个3D 软件，因为他自己的经历就是通过他3D 的学习，真的是刺激你的大脑去对这个对这个形体的理解，真的是平常会无意识的提高他在2D 中画画的技巧。他就说，就像里尔纳多·达芬奇一样，他就是后来就不喜欢画画，他喜欢研究人体啊，乱七八糟的东西一样，就是他这都是互相学习的。但是他通过他研究人体，他懂了更多这个解剖学方面的，更多画的这个时候懂得更多，就是不同领域之间互相学习，所以老师还是很建议去学 ZBrush 的。
And I mean, to go on that, like, I mean, that's why, studying form, and that's kind of why artists like Leonardo da Vinci in the past, did things like digging up dead bodies and cutting them open to see how the muscles work underneath, because it wasn't enough for them just to paint and sculpt what's on top. They needed to figure out how things connect and how things work together. And, sculpting this thing and really kind of working it in your brain and kind of looking at it from every angle and figuring out how sculpting this calf muscle, connecting to the bone that's in here, it will really, really skyrocket your 2D, because you'll see it when you're drawing. It's like life drawing. You do life drawing to kind of see that patterns and those connections, and when you sculpt it, it's just another level and another kind of helpful tool to help you understand how these shapes interact with each other and fall into each other.
Right. 那老师又提到了达芬奇，说达芬奇他通过解剖尸体啊，当时来提高他对人体理解，所以说雕塑这个东西，有点像升级版的画速写。就我们以前画速写的话，就是他在雕塑过程中会想这个肌肉连接哪块骨头。那画速写也是一样的，就是通过我们这个，就是不同的对结构的理解吧，真的是会让你的大脑有意无意的学习到很多很多的知识，来提高你平常对2D 绘画的技术。Thank you。那老师现在就在完善他花了10分钟做出来的一个生物设计，大家可以看看他是怎么逐步细化它的模型的。当然了，有什么问题大家还是可以问，因为老师现在专注于他这个雕刻，可能话会比较少一点。
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of be. I don't know. Hopefully, I sold you guys on kind of like why this program can be so helpful.
Yeah, definitely. You sold me already.
And then, like, I mean, there's you could have a lot of fun with it too. Now that we're kind of getting to the end, and
right.
You could kind of, you got a deadline. You don't know how to make this thing look good. Why not use some of the toys that you have, the new toys you have, like some hair.
对，老师现在展示就是说，当你做的时候，真的就是很有趣，就是你真的停不下来，然后就可以就是基本上就在玩儿，就是玩一玩，它用一些别的别的这种小插件，就是 Zipper 自带的这个毛发系统，可以玩一玩，就真的很快很简单。
A demon hyena. Well, I guess we're making a demon hyena. And a couple of, with practice, in a couple of minutes, you can have something kind of okay to give your idea to give a good idea to the art director of like what you're looking at. And if you bang out like this is maybe like 20 minutes, so divide 8 hours of a workday into times that by 2 now, because you did this in 20 minutes. That's 16 images you have at the end of the day for an artist. Could you plus any kind of different angles that you want to do? That'd be a really hard work day to get that done with 2D in Photoshop.
True. 老师戏称他自己做了个恶魔猎狗，然后呢，就是说大概算了算20分钟能做成这样，那大概8个小时的话，能做16个模型，然后而且是不同的任何角度都可以，所以说想想他多么的强大。如果平常的普通的概念师的话，8个小时能出16个，哪怕出16张图都很困难。Yeah, thanks.
So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I kind of wanted to show and what I wanted to talk about roughly. Kind of just demonstrate the kind of powerful tool that this is, and using it in conjunction with Photoshop and KeyShot, this rendering program, and all the other programs that you could learn out there. It really the cliche, the sky's the limit of what you can do with it and how quickly you can do it. So unless there's any other questions, I don't really know where else to go with this for this test broadcast.
Oh yeah, okay, it's almost 11. Let me translate this one first, real quick.
Sure.
对，老师就是大概的很粗糙的展示了一下，用 ZBrush 可以他的这个工作的这个流程吧，很快的、很粗糙的一个短暂的流程。然后呢，现在就问大家有什么问题呢？因为老师感觉这个demo 咱们这个测试，我觉得很棒。然后大家有什么问题可以问他。Yeah, Casper, they said thank you so much, and yeah, thank you too. I appreciate that. It was awesome. It's been amazing. I think we can finish today.
Thanks. And thank you for coming and listening. And I'm really sorry about my computer crashing and just disappearing on you.
Yeah, people give you thumbs up. 老师说他就是谢谢大家过来听，很抱歉他的电脑之前蓝屏了。Yeah, no worries, man.
All right, thank you. Hopefully, I'll see a lot of you in the course.
Yep.
And yeah, we could get into basically how to do what I just did here. At the end of the course, we're going to do soft surface, which is this guy, something like this. But at the beginning, we're going to start with hard surface, which is like mechanical design. And we're going to get into, design theory and, not just the program, but basically everything that goes into the kind of lead up to creating a concept in ZBrush, and the research and the kind of thought behind things and how to tell a story with your concept. So yeah, hopefully we'll have a lot of fun and we'll learn a lot of things, and it'll go a lot smoother than this, and there'll be 0 crashes.
Yeah, thank you. 老师说希望以后我们在课上见。然后课上最后他的课程安排可能是后面会有这些这些软模、这些生物设计。那刚开始呢，可能大家要从一些硬模、建模开始来设计。当然了，老师不只包括软件用法，还包括一些设计理念呀，设计背后的一些想法呀，怎么来用你的这个模型来说一个故事，老师都会讲。然后希望以后我们能在课上一起学习，然后希望最后老师开玩笑说希望没有 crash， 电脑不会再崩溃了。